The all-new 338 cartridge from Hornady offers the promise of more versatility, more efficiency, and more downrange energy compared to alternatives like 300 Blackout. In this video, we're going to take a look at this cartridge in depth and put it to the test. Hey guys, Gavin Gear here from UltimateReloader.com. Whenever a new rifle cartridge is introduced to the general public, I want to get my hands on it, I want to explore it, I want to test it, and bring those insights to you all, and that is what we're doing in this video. Hornady recently announced 338 ARC. This is a 338 caliber advanced rifle cartridge platform, and it's similar to 6 ARC in that it's going to share that 6.5 Grendel case rim diameter, but it actually predates the development of the 6 ARC. It's a really interesting story. It was put on the shelf and that was brought back off the shelf. And really the reason for the cartridge is to take some of the shortcomings of a cartridge like 300 Blackout, namely you're going to have fairly high SDs, a good degree of velocity variation. You're going to struggle with using the same gas settings between your subsonic and your supersonic configurations with ammunition, right? You might need to adjust your gas block or other parameters on the AR. The completeness of the burn and the downrange energy, right? A 338 is able to utilize a 307 grain projectile. That's about 100 grains more than what you're going to get with something like a 300 Blackout. This cartridge was designed with the AR-15 platform in mind, so it's got a 2.260 inch cartridge overall length maximum, and that's so that it can fit in a standard AR-15 magazine. The magazine that this cartridge is going to use is the same magazine for your 6.5 Grendel or your 6 ARC. So good news there. There's a good degree of interoperability here with components for the AR-15 platform that are currently on the market. So what I have here is a very limited quantity of the 2 SKUs of ammunition that Hornady is launching with the platform. We've got 175 grain black ammo, and we've also got the 307 grain sub-X, right? So this is our supersonic and our subsonic varieties of ammunition. And what we're going to use for testing is this Odin rifle that I put together. Odin Works recently announced the availability of their 338 ARC barrels. They're offered in 10.5 inch, which I've got here, and 16 inch. They use a 1 in 8 twist, which is what Hornady recommends as the optimal twist rate for this particular rifle cartridge. They will also be offering complete uppers. Complete rifles, I'm not sure about yet at this point. It's still pretty early, but I'll keep you all posted with what I find out on that. So a little bit more about the test rifle we're going to use with this ammunition. So I've got the Odin CQB brace. We're happy to be using an arrow lower in this particular case with a Hogue overmolded grip. We've got the 10.5 inch complete upper from Odin Works, and we're using the Enduro suppressor from Odin Works as well. I've taken a couple baffles out of the equation here. This is a modular suppressor so that we can get the overall length down a little bit. I don't know about you all, but I really like the way that this rifle came together. It's handy, it's very compact for a suppressed platform, and I think it's going to be a great way to test this new cartridge. So here's the plan. I'm going to get this rifle zeroed in. I just put this Leupold Mark V HD 2-10 atop the rifle. Absolutely love this scope. I think it's going to be the perfect scope for this cartridge in this platform. We're going to get some chrono data, zero the rifle, get some chrono data, and then take it out to distance on some steel and look at whether or not we can achieve the goal, right, of the rifle runs reliably with both types of ammo, subsonic and supersonic, without changing the gas block settings or any of the other parameters on the rifle. So I'm going to head up to the range and get this thing zeroed in. Okay, so I'm back from shooting and evaluating this rifle, and I'll have to say I absolutely am impressed. We sighted in at 50 yards, and I will call this Operation Ammo Conservation. I was using as few shots as possible because I only had 2 boxes of each SKU of ammo, the 175 supersonic and the 307 subsonic. It didn't take long to get sighted in. Fortunately, I did decide to sight in at 50 just because I knew I was going to kind of close out this story with some fun shooting of steel targets at 50 yards. And what I did was I just calculated my dope accordingly for those extended ranges. After getting sighted in, one of the first things that I did was to shoot our 200-yard rock chuck steel target to evaluate the relative performance of the supersonic and subsonic ammunition at a range that I consider to be somewhat of an extended range for such a compact and close quarters optimized platform. This was a lot of fun. So what I noticed after shooting at 200 yards was the recoil felt a lot lighter on the 307 grain subsonics as compared to the 175 grain supersonic ammunition, right? It's all about kinetic energy. It's all about the dynamics and the burn rate of the powder and everything kind of combined. Overall, this rifle package with the close quarters brace, this thing is really cool. You can very quickly retract it and then push button, extend it. You know, it feels like a normal buttstock if from a legality perspective you want to go there. And, you know, this would be a fine platform to classify as an SBR, I believe. And, you know, we have an SOT here so that we could very easily do that. Enduro suppressor, really good performance. 307 grain subsonic ammunition, really quiet. The one thing that I did run into, the big issue, was feeding. And what was happening was, with this 307 grain sub-X bullet, you have a very kind of blunt point on the end there where this polymer tip is. What was happening was, from a factory 6.5 Grendel mag, the round was going forward and just hitting below the feed ramp, essentially. So my solution for that was to take a pair of pliers, went to our micro cabin on the Ridgeline range up there, and I just opened up the front so that when the round is sitting in the magazine there, let's load a few and I'll show you here. I wanted them to sort of porpoise up in the front. It's a little bit hard to see there, but they're angled up, whereas without the feed lip bending, they were kind of more or less straight across, right? So what that enabled us to do was to reliably feed these 307 grain subsonic rounds. You know, this is kind of an interesting optimization problem because you've got this very nose heavy, kind of very drastically differently proportioned cartridge, you know, compared to what the AR platform and these magazines and so on and so forth were designed for. And with a little bit of adjustment, you know, both rounds fed reliably, you know, from this modified magazine. So just know that you might need to do a little bit of tweaking on your magazine if you're going to run these subs. If we had pointed subsonic bullets, I don't think it would have been an issue. You know, like we use Barry's 220 grain for 300 blackout and for 308 subsonic and even 7.62 by 39 subsonic. So if you had a bullet with a profile like that where it comes more or less to a point, I think that'd help it get up the feed ramp and feed. But you know, we have an adjustable gas block on this Odin Works upper, and we did not have to use that. Everything seems to function just fine. I believe it's being run wide open right now. And so, you know, that was confirmation that the promise of 338 ARC was living up to what the claims were. And that's one rifle platform, one tune, supersonic and subsonic ammo. One of the surprises that I also had was how well the velocity looked for this ammunition. So for the subsonic, unfortunately our chronograph only picked up 2 shots. So we had 1,045 feet per second average, an SD of only 2.6, and an ES of 5.1, right, for that extreme spread. What would that have been with 5 or 10 shots? That's a good question. I didn't notice that only 2 shots had picked up on the chronograph. Otherwise, I probably would have expended my precious resource and done a little bit more testing there. For the supersonic, we had 5 shots averaging 1926.6 feet per second, an SD of 7.8, which is really, really good, and an extreme spread of 22.6. And that was for 5 shots. All 5 shots were picked up. That was from one of the strings when we were shooting from the tree branch there. So it looks like, man, out to 200 yards, absolutely no problem. But what I was really looking forward to was more of the dynamic close quarters work, which is what this rifle is really more about to me. So we drove down the mountain to our industrial yard where we have a variety of steel targets and did this shooting. So at the end of the day, first impressions with 338 ARC, I love it. It really seems to live up to the claim of that efficiency with a shorter barrel, really good velocity, easy to shoot at 200 yards at a reasonably sized target. Love the Leupold Mark V HD 2-10, perfect optic for this scenario. Like I said, we had a very limited quantity of ammo. I would have loved to have done a lot more shooting. And one of the ideas I had as a follow-up was potentially to do a bolt action build. So if you all are interested in seeing a 338 bolt build, maybe a little compact unit for suppressed close quarters work or something like that, or maybe something that is more like a traditional rifle, maybe like with a 22 to 24 inch barrel, and something that we're looking at what kind of accuracy can we get, how far can we extend the performance. Actually, I don't think we're going to need a roll-on barrel for that. It's just about the platform and the trigger and the stock and so on and so forth. Anyhow, if you have thoughts about this particular Odin Works configuration for 338 ARC, the cartridge, or ideas for my bolt action build, definitely drop a comment. We'll discuss down there in the comment section. That concludes this video, and that means it's time to wrap it up. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're watching Ultimate Reloader on TV and want to take advantage of free resources, exclusives, and hot deals, just hold your camera phone up to the QR code, tap on the link, fill out the information, boom, you're getting Ultimate Reloader emails. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we're on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, where we've got unrestricted content, and Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all those channels. Ultimate Reloader also has a commercial solutions division serving law enforcement, the military, and the gun industry. We have some unique capabilities, including a comprehensive suite of recoil testing and evaluation capabilities, trigger profiling, and more. Thanks again for watching.